welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we are coming at you with the old Oliver Stone / Tarantino Natural Born Killers. Forgot I actually had this like really cool, it's almost like a halfway steelbook case of this bad boy, you know, but I've gone through many iterations throughout the years of this film. Like just from like, I had this weird like psychedelic looking like 99 DVD and then another one and so on, but it's been moving wanted.
I don't know. Now I think about it, I used to own it, but then of course in moving the 12 times that I've done in my life, some movies have gone the way of the buffalo, but
yeah, they just don't make it. Sometimes they get lost somewhere. So you know what I mean. You let somebody borrow it and you never see it again or something like that. But yeah, this is one of those ones I've been sitting around for a long time wanting to rewatch this movie again. You know, it's been a good while since I've seen it. You know, it was one of those things that for me, I watched it kind of a bunch once I started getting into Tarantino a lot, like in the early 2000s and so on like that. And when you started seeking out all his movies and so on there. But when was the first time you came across this one?
Gosh, I had acquired it back in like 2013 and it sat in my arrangement of DVDs for a handful of years. And then finally, I think I watched it like, 3 years ago for the first time. And I was like, dude, this movie rocks.
Did it change your life?
A little bit, yeah, you know, not in the way that it changed the lives of the people in the film.
You weren't inspired afterwards to be like, you know what?
Yeah, exactly.
3 weeks could be a lot of fun.
Holy crap. No, what is this movie? I'll tell you what this movie thinks of. And I don't know because I didn't look. I couldn't tell you which films came first, you know, or what the order, but I'll tell you, it feels like a mashup of California with David Duchovny and Brad Pitt, and Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis is
plays a very similar role. She's a little bit more retarded in California.
Yeah, I just love how that movie starts off when Brad Pitt's leaving the trailer because Brad Pitt's the best in fucking California.
Butt naked.
Yeah, well, he looks out and then like Juliette Lewis, he like lifts up her shirt and shows like a nipple. He's like, hey, you put that titty back.
Dude, that's absolutely one of my favorite roles that Brad Pitt's ever done is California.
Dude,
it's
that's
so
like
convincing.
Dude, and he's so hill, but that's the one thing that I feel like Brad Pitt missed out on
for that role.
Oh yeah, because he's always popping those fucking beers off stuff. I literally, because of that movie, like whenever you like bash a beer, like and just pop the lid off like a random object or something like that, I always call that's Brad Pitting it. But like no, it's like that movie. Like there's a couple movies in like that early 2000s where Brad Pitt plays the scary hillbilly. He's so good at that, and I wish he would come back to that because it's so good.
It's pretty crazy.
There's another movie. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but like it's around the exact same time as that movie, and it literally has Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis in it as well. But it's a made-for-TV movie, but it's kind of another one of those like poor hillbilly kids, you know, struggling on their own. Not nearly as good as California, but it's still worth it at the same time.
I love that movie. I watched that movie again a couple years ago when my wife and I were blazing through the X-Files, and I just told her, I'm like, you ever heard of California? And you know, I'm like, the movie. And she's like, no.
Spelled with a K, like, California with a K. You got to make that kind of clear.
Yeah, I'm like,
the way nobody spells it.
It's with a yuppie Mulder, who is a photographer, you know. Or hey, I don't think he's the photographer. His girlfriend's a photographer, and but he's such a weenie, you know, in that movie. And then of course he pairs up with Brad Pitt, who's this, as we've already discussed, this like insane hillbilly murderer. You know, dude, it's just so good. And I love the way he talks, the way he acts, the way he does everything. It's just so damn convincing. I was telling my wife, I'm like, this, like I've met people like this, you know, like that. It's just unreal. Stanky bitch.
Yeah, I love that's like one of my favorite lines in that movie.
And he snorts. Stanky bitch, you know, and dude, it's so good. And it's awesome that like he's pretty similar to Mickey, I think.
Yeah.
And because there's these moments where you're like, you know, I think like he could almost be an all right guy. And then he just goes on a murderous rampage. You're like, nah, never mind.
But somehow you still kind of like him in a weird way. It's like that thing where it's like he's a real bad
at a
person
party until he starts killing people.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those sort of things there.
But yeah, so it makes me think of that film. It also made me think of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like it made me think of if you took Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and California and put them together.
Because it has that. And I feel like, I know that Tarantino has always kind of bitched for years about the Oliver Stone version of his movie and so on like that, and how he doesn't like it and how he doesn't want to be associated with it and getting all this stuff there, which, I don't know. Sometimes I think, we all know Tarantino can be kind of like hard to the point on when he's got an idea about
Facetious.
something. Yeah. If he's going to say something, he's going to say something. He's not one of those people that like, which I give him credit, and at the end of the day, he's like one of the few people in life that can kind of like talk shit and you go, well, his movies back it up. I hate to sort of say it like, it's like sometimes there's that thing when like people get really like critiquey about something like that, be like, well, what have you done? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like nothing, so like that. And Tarantino's like, well, someone's like, well, what have you done? Well, look at Tarantino's track record. You know what I mean? Like if there's one person who can, it's like if Steven Spielberg told you something about like your movie, you kind of go, yeah, you might go, okay, it's Steven. He might have a point, But oddly enough, I was like, I like Oliver Stone probably just as much as Tarantino at the end of the day. Like he has just as many good movies, if not actually way more movies, really, at the end of the day.
I was going to say, I think Tarantino's only got 9 actual movies, I think.
Well, he's got 9 of his, but then I consider there's the 3 other ones, which is Natural Born Killers, True Romance, From Dusk Till Dawn. There's a couple other.
He didn't do True Romance?
No, he just wrote that script, and Tony Scott did that one.
Because I was reading about that earlier. I saw that he didn't have the budget to make it, but I thought maybe he came back and made it later or something. I don't know.
So what he did is he sold these scripts initially. I think Natural Born Killers was the first one he sold, then True Romance, and then I want to say he did sell From Dusk Till Dawn, but then him and Robert Rodriguez were able to get it back, and so on like that. And so he had these scripts out there and so on like that. But that was sort of to pay for Reservoir Dogs in a sense. He wanted to make Natural Born Killers, but he couldn't get any budget or anybody to finance him.
I knew that it was a budget thing and he couldn't do it. It was pretty interesting. I was reading about that earlier. You probably know this already too, but I read that Natural Born Killers was actually how that came to be. It was a film within a film.
Yeah.
Then that's how the film was born, and here it is now. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And I don't know. Maybe after Tarantino makes his 10th movie, maybe he ought to make Natural Born Killers. Maybe he ought to make True Romance. I mean, you look at all the directors.
Oddly, True Romance, he gives that one his kind of blessing. When Tony Scott made that, I think there's just a couple things in that one that Tarantino would have done sort of different. But that one, I think, followed the path like Tarantino did. The only thing that one does differently is that one plays chronologically, where in the script, it did the Tarantino thing where it went back and forth and so on like that. And then I feel the music, because the music has like Hans Zimmer doing like a weird, like his version of like the Little Mermaid soundtrack. It's really strange. It's like the only thing that's kind of odd in that movie. But I feel Tarantino would have had his like a Reservoir Dogs style soundtrack, like Pulp Fiction.
But I mean, think about it. There's all the time there's Western filmmakers that are remaking films from overseas in different places. Like, well, my argument is, why can't you do the same thing with an American film? Which there already is remakes and reboots. There's 1,000 Batman.
Well, I always think of that. There's The Shining, because Stanley Kubrick had The Shining, and Stephen King just wanted to disown that. He didn't want to be associated with that. So in like 1997 or whatever, he makes his own, but he has to make it in a mini series style. He's like, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to do The Shining like this and do it right like my book. And I've watched that before. It's okay. I hate to sort of say it like, The Shining is one of those ones, like, the book itself, it's an interesting read. It's definitely cool. There's a lot of stuff in there. I think Stanley Kubrick kind of took it and just sort of like filtered it through and went like, this is what it should be. This is the best stuff out of there. Because a lot of times I think Stephen King will and I like Stephen King stuff a lot, but of course I think he just goes for stuff and just throws everything out that he likes and so on. And sometimes his stuff can be a little bit kind of, overblown and maybe a little bit winded and so on like that. And I felt like Stanley Kubrick just kind of slimmed it down to like all the core elements and so on. You know,
I never read the book. I got a good buddy who was telling me he preferred the book over the movie. I think there's always, like you're always going to have the people who like one over the other. But I'm not a very good reader, and I usually do better with movies. I mean, I take it all for what it's worth, but yeah, gosh, I saw this. I don't know if it was a sequel or a prequel, called the Mr. something, Mr. Sleep, Doctor Sleep.
Oh, Doctor Sleep. Yeah.
I started watching that, man. I thought it was really boring, but maybe it deserves another watch. I don't know.
Yeah, it starts off kind of weird. I will say that. I felt like it got better as it went on.
See, I really don't like horror movies that take a half an hour to get scary either.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of old school style. I always call that I refer to that as the 70s buildup, because if you ever notice, every 70s movie, it always takes an hour before anything starts to really happen.
Well, yeah, actually, you got a fair point. I actually really like Salem's Lot, and that movie it's a mini series, takes forever. Until anything crazy starts happening. That said, I mean, I do love a slow burn if it pays off. We watched a movie a couple weeks ago that was called Pulse. It was a Japanese horror film. And we both were like, wow, this is going to be great. The cinematography was kind of grainy and crappy, and seemed like your average Japanese horror film from 1999, 2000. It looks like you're watching a movie through fog. And really some creepy, unsettling images at first, and I never really went away from that. And then it was just a long, drawn out movie that went in a handful of different directions that you thought, what? This is completely something that I thought was not going to be happening. And then it's kind of I won't go into it from there, but it was a slow burn that, in my opinion, didn't pay off. Maybe it's because I'm not Japanese. But, I mean, we watched another film, I think it was a Chinese film, called Incantation, that's on Netflix, a few days before that. And that was fantastic. I think it might be my second favorite horror film. But,
interesting. Yeah.
And it's kind of a found footage type of film. And usually those I'm really judgmental with, because it's such an overly done kind of film, I think As Above, So Below was that kind of film, and I was disappointed in that film. I thought it was kind of underwhelming, but this film it was really good. If you're in that kind of thing, I think it's really worth checking out. But anyway, yeah. Going back to what talking about Tarantino and making his films, and he's definitely got his merit. And he's definitely, he doesn't have to prove himself or anything. And I could definitely understand his frustrations and not liking this film compared to his script. Because contrary to what a lot of people say about Natural Born Killers, I don't think it's 100% a different film or different story when you compare the film to the script. But it's enough to where, if I wrote it, I'd be like, what the hell is this? I know I think the biggest comparison, probably after what I was reading through, I probably didn't read enough, but is from what I could tell by the script, it seemed like Mickey and Mallory were not exactly the main characters. It seemed like the reporter had more of a role.
Wayne, the guy that Robert Downey Jr. plays in the movie. Yeah, he was the main character realistically.
Yeah.
And then Mickey and Mallory were sort of you just saw them through scenes in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Which is very interesting. I think that would have been an interesting film too. But that said, man, I can't fault Oliver Stone.
No.
For whatever, however him and Tarantino feel about each other over this movie. That's between them, because I think it's an awesome film. And in fact, it carried such a legacy with me that that kind of that was my biggest intro to Woody Harrelson, because I hadn't watched a whole lot with him up until that point. Actually, I will say that the two things that I really remember Woody Harrelson is before watching this was the first season of True Detective.
Okay.
which is the only season I have watched. I think there was like 10 episodes, maybe. It's on HBO, and that has got to be the best cop show I've ever seen.
Is that the one where it's him and Matthew McConaughey?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that I started watching the next season. I didn't realize they weren't together. Like they're all different stories, and I just didn't care. I was like, forget this. But that specific story is fantastic. But anyway, so I'd seen that, and then I'd seen No Country for Old Men, which had him in it, and it was such a small part. Oh, and then Zombieland, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
That's all I'd seen, and up before Natural Born Killers. And once I'd seen that, I was like, this is my favorite role of this guy's. And I think that Woody Harrelson is almost. I think he checks off like 8 out of 10 boxes when it comes to actors that play themselves. His roles are all pretty similar.
Yeah,
but that said, I kind of forgive that in this film because what he does so damn well. And I remember, this movie had been just fresh in my mind by the point of, what do you call it? That second Venom coming out, where he played as Carnage.
Carnage, yeah.
And when that was announced, and he was announced as playing Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, I knew buddies that were like, they're like, oh, that's the dumbest. Like, why would they choose him to be Carnage? That's ridiculous. And I'm like, you clearly have never seen Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, 100%. That's the reason he was chosen.
Yeah. And in fact, just rewatching that earlier, because I watched it today, that scene where he's in the cell, like right before he shaves his head, I just was looking at him like, that's Cletus Cassidy right there. That's 100% Cletus Cassidy.
Yep. Totally. No, I feel this is the reason why they chose him for that, But just going back to the Tarantino-ness of it, I finally sat down and read through that whole script right before we kind of did this podcast and so on like that. I read it the last couple days. And the weird thing is I actually expected the script to be kind of radically different, and so on. Like, the core characters and all that kind of stuff. But strangely enough, I'm going through it. I'm like, dude, like literally the dialogue's very close to word for word. The scenes are all there. Yeah, there's a little bit of Tarantino structuring where things are in different places. But the only thing that I kind of really noticed more than anything else was that it felt like because the Robert Downey Jr. character, what was his name? Murphy? No, not Murphy.
Gale Wayne Gale.
Yeah, Wayne Gale is that. One, he's in there like a lot more, and he's got long monologues, and he's doing a lot more interviews. Like, it reminds me like it was actually designed a lot more like in Tarantino's script to be a cheap budget movie. Like, it has that feeling like what are the things we can do to kind of save on our budget here? So there's a lot more just like interviews and talking and like using video cameras and that stuff. Literally a lot of that stuff there. But like all like the major scenes and all that stuff, they're all there. They're all kind of there. They might be a little bit different order and so on like that. And then there's a lot of stuff in there. There was some scenes like I was reading that like I was like, there was that bodybuilder one that I showed you. I was like, oh shit, like there's these bodybuilder, scene in here where these two guys are talking and whatnot like that.
That was hilarious.
And I just thought it was like one of those ones like, and it was funny because I read it first and I was going through there and I was like, okay, cool. They're in Gold's Gym sitting there. There's two brothers. I'm like, well, this sounds like this is like the Barbarian Brothers, and they call them like the Hun Brothers and everything like that. And, they were talking about like, oh man, we like Mickey Mallory, and like, Robert Downey Jr.'s character's like, what do you mean you like them and stuff like that? They cut your legs off of a chainsaw. Like, oh, well, that's okay. That just gives us more reason to work out harder. And then I remember I was watching those deleted scenes and I was like, oh, they actually had that scene in there, and it was the Barbarian Brothers. Like,
that's
I was
hilarious.
so excited about that. I guess I must have missed that back in the day when I maybe watched the special features a long time ago or something like that. But
just that kind of scene, we've talked about it before, like it just... I don't get it why certain scenes are left out of films, because it's not like they really, I don't know, like it didn't do the film any justice by removing it. It had to have been a time thing.
Yeah.
But
well, I will say
that's a hilarious scene.
Yeah, that one's the best one, because I sat there and watched the 20 minutes of deleted scenes and just kind of got refreshed on that. And a lot of those scenes in there are actually, once again, straight out of the Tarantino script and so on like that. He just had some long-winded scenes and so on.
Yeah.
And some of them I kind of get, like, that's sort of what they would have been. They would have been too long-winded. You had enough of that stuff. And, like, I felt like you got the Robert Downey Jr. character across pretty well. That these were all almost like extra stuff. But the Barbarians brothers one, I wish that even if they would have trimmed that and made it real, like, quick or something like that, because they even had the scenes with Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis literally cutting them up with chainsaws and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, this is badass.
No, it was pretty damn hilarious. The but yeah, no, whatever, I don't know how many Oliver Stone films I've seen, because I've never really paid attention to directors when I'm watching movies. But it's kind of like how I was talking about earlier. It kind of made me think a little bit about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And it's right out the get-go, too. Like, the movie starts out super psychedelic. Just, like, all balls to the wall, like, crap going on the sides of the screen. I like how, it really reminds me of, like, weird cartoons. Like Ren and Stimpy and stuff, where there'd be a normal shot, but then, like, immediately, like, part of the screen there's something that looks like a moldy wall or something that's all vibrant and changing colors and stuff. It's just like, dude, what the hell is this? And what I like about that too, other than it just being weird and awesome, is like it makes a viewer wonder, like, what's going to happen next? Like, what is going on here? It's not just like, I enjoy this plot and I understand it, so I'm going to keep watching. Like, it refuses to be boring. It refuses to be like normal. And it just, I think it really helps the film along. And I love, I don't know. It's Woody Harrelson doesn't seem normal when he's introduced to Mallory. In fact, nobody seems normal. Like, that's a pretty screwed up household there. And I love that Rodney Dangerfield as the dad.
That's like one of the best parts, and sadly that's not in the Tarantino script. That's all like, well, one, Oliver Stone just brings Rodney Dangerfield in, but then apparently Rodney Dangerfield just ad-libbed all his own lines. He just went in there and just be like the Hellfather Rodney Dangerfield, because that stuff is hilarious. And the funny thing about that is that scene, I remember there was this dude once that I remember going to, like, a friend's, like, we were hanging out for, like, his birthday and whatnot, and his sister had a friend and stuff. And, like, when the guy kind of first showed up, I was like, oh, this guy seems like just one of those, like, almost like kind of party douche guys who's like, oh, just like, banging women, getting drunk and loaded, and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, I'm probably not going to get along very well with this guy and so on. Lo and behold, after a good while, we realized we both really liked movies a lot, so we had something very much in common, and we actually got along great. It was one of those ones where you kind of at first you're like, oh, is this guy going to be one of those kind of guys? And then, strangely enough, but I remember we were talking about Natural Born Killers. I was like, dude, isn't the Rodney Dangerfield stuff, like, hilarious? And this guy who kind of seemed like, one of those hard guys and everything like that, he was like, dude, what was funny about that scene? Like, that was tragic.
Look, I'm going to leave.
And that's my favorite thing, is that, like, sometimes just like those real tough guys and like stuff like that will just get them.
Oh yeah, dude. I always, God, when I was in the military, I was either the most normal guy or the most not normal guy, depending on the subject, and stuff like that. I could sit there and just be like, "This is great. I'm gonna keep watching." And then people are like, "Oh, how can you? Oh, this is disgusting. It's sick." And I'm like, dude, it's fake. Like, it's
at the end of the day, it's a
fictitious story. Like, if this was happening outside my window, I'd be a little concerned.
Yeah, if we walked in on this thing, it'd be different. But it's a movie, and it's Rodney Dangerfield, and there's a laugh track, and it's like,
exactly. Yeah, that was it's just like people who forget that comedians are comedians. That it's their job to say things that are completely outrageous. They don't exactly mean it, a lot of the time. I don't know, some comedians mean it, but anyway, no, that was hilarious.
There's like that one line where, like, the wife says something and Rodney Dangerfield's like, don't speak, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, just constantly, you fucking idiot, you stupid bitch.
Stupid bitch, you don't make it right.
Sandwich smear on his face.
He's like, stop crying, you're turning me off.
Man.
But then it goes real dark for a second there when there is that scene when when he's like tells Juliette Lewis like no, you go upstairs, you get yourself clean, and then I will come up there and check.
Yeah. I gotta say that
part, and then even when he goes and he does like the creepy grab, he's like, "Oh, I feel that ass." Yeah, it's so creepy that they had to get stand-ins to do that scene. They literally need someone to come in and go stunt ass.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't blame Juliette Lewis for saying like, I don't really want to.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that 70-year-old man to come grab me with the.
I don't know, but I kind of feel like Juliette Lewis is also the kind of actress that kind of plays herself.
Well, she plays the crazy hillbilly really well.
Yes, she does. And I was gonna say I don't think that's herself, but her roles are so synonymous with each other. Mallory and God, I forgot the name of her character in California, but
then even like in From Dusk Till Dawn, she plays the daughter in that, which is ironic.
Kind of
it's weird. I feel like she plays a younger character like in Dusk Till Dawn because it's like 2 years later than like Natural Born Killers.
Yeah. No, it kind of seems like that, and in that movie, she's not, dumb or nothing, but she's still kind of. It's like there's something going on there, like the light's not on up there or something. I don't know. And then What's Eating Gilbert Grape? I don't know if you've seen that with Johnny Depp and Leo DiCaprio. She's in that. That's got to be her most normal role that I've ever seen her in. And then I completely forgot about this one, but she's also in the movie Due Date with Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if you've seen that. It's
I saw that one. I saw it in theaters. It's kind of like a knockoff of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And she's a drug. No, she's not. Well, yeah, she kind of is a drug dealer. Sells Zach Galifianakis weed, and at first when I watched it, I had no idea it was her, probably because she was older. But then as I'm watching, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's Juliette Lewis. And I think I've seen a few other films. Oh, you know what? I think she was also in this movie that I just watched, God, like a year ago, with John Malkovich. Oh God, I forgot the name of it. It was a really good movie. It was about a cult in the desert. And she played just kind of a washed out celebrity. But she does. She plays a lot of these very similar roles too. But you know what? I don't mind because she does it really well, like you said.
No, yeah. And
she's just a fantastic psychopath that you never know, man. She's like a teeter-totter of emotions in this film, and no matter where she's at, you're either going to get. She's kind of like a hillbilly Harlequin.
Yeah, that's definitely what she's almost like in a weird way. Like if Harley Quinn was in like one of the earlier Batman movies, like let's just say she was in like Batman and Robin. I don't know why she would be because Joker's I guess dead in that one by that point. But just saying, I feel like she could have played her back in those days.
Yeah, no, but she's like that. But yeah, no. So I don't know, man.
Well, I think speaking of even like we were talking about like with that intro scene and how it just comes in hardcore psychedelic and weird and all that stuff. Sometimes that's the part that I think that actually probably was the difference between the way that Tarantino visioned it compared to Oliver Stone. Because I always picture it that because a lot of these scenes, once again, like a lot of this stuff in there, even some of the weird stuff, it's literally in the script. So it's like Tarantino ddid write this. I just think that Oliver Stone interpreted it differently.
His artistic vision was
he saw it and he wanted to add a little bit more. I mean, really, he came off of doing The Doors only a couple of years beforehand, so it kind of makes sense. But
well, I didn't even think like the animation was really. It couldn't have been anything too different from what Tarantino would have done because look at Kill Bill. There's anime all throughout that film.
See, that's my big example too. Is like all the weird. Because at first I was thinking like, okay, there's all like the weird psychedelic kind of cinematography. The camera's never straight. It's always like at a Dutch angle. It switches back and forth from like color to black and white to psychedelics to weird tones and so on like that. But then again, you look at Kill Bill, it's like Kill Bill uses a lot of that stuff in there. So it's like, well, one of those ones is like, this is something Tarantino would do anyways. It uses a lot of actors that I feel like would have been Tarantino choices in the first place. You know, so much of it there, it's so bizarre. You know, I just kind of kept trying to go back and forth and watching it this time, trying to think of like what Tarantino would have done comparatively to what Oliver Stone would have done. And it's just weird because it's like a lot of times I just feel Oliver Stone's like, dude, it almost felt like I read your script. Yeah, we added some more stuff to it just to punch it up a bit more and give it a little bit more of a meaning and so on like that. Like, but like, it's not, strangely enough, it's not that radically different. I don't, you know what I mean? I just think he, in a sense, the tone that I pictured this movie would probably have if Tarantino made it would have been somewhere between True Romance and Reservoir Dogs. It would have felt like it fit together with those two movies.
I'll be honest, I still have to watch True Romance because I've never seen it.
Dude, I kid you not. True Romance is probably one of my favorite Tarantino movies. I like it a lot. You know, and once again, that's one of those ones got a huge cast. It's got Brad Pitt in it as well. He's just a stoner guy that just sits there on the couch and says funny things. That's it. But you know, that movie's great. You know,
I was it's kind of crazy the all-star cast that was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. All kinds of people in there, and then all-star cast. I mean, I don't know about all-star cast in Natural Born Killers, but there's a lot of famous actors in it for sure. And probably one of my favorite roles in the movie was Tommy Lee Jones.
Which I totally forgot he was in this one. I was like, oh yeah, Tommy Lee Jones is in this.
I did too. And when he came on screen, I was like, oh yeah, that's like batshit crazy warden. Which I mean, I've seen crazier, I guess. But he just seemed like he really liked his job. I love how he's got those little tweezers on hand.
To grab those guys by the nose when they're out of line and so on like that. You know, no, most definitely. No, he's a really cool one in there. And I kind of like how all the characters in here are kind of like shitty or like, you know, there's something wrong with them and so on like that. Like really like Mickey and Mallory are, you know... They're you know, appear to be bad guys, but compared to everybody else, they really are kind of just as normal as everyone else is.
They're exposing hypocrisy, and their crime is atrocious, and they kill lots of people. A lot of them don't deserve it. But some of them you could argue do. I guess it comes down to perspective. I don't know if they deserve to be killed, but they deserve to be held accountable for their actions. And put in their place for sure. So yeah, I mean, like if you know, to start from the beginning, it opens up with them in a very Tarantino fashion. Starts out in a diner, you know, with Mallory and Mickey. They're just they seem pretty normal. I mean, relatively speaking. He gets a pie. He's not sure if he's going to like it, but he figures I'll try it anyway. He
hasn't had key lime pie in 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. and then these three, probably not hillbillies, more so probably rednecks. Come in from outside. Well, one of them stays outside looking at his truck, and the other two come inside, and she's dancing. One of the rednecks comes and says like, "Oh, you're sexy. I love you. Wow." And she's just like, "Oh, you think I'm cute?" And then immediately starts beating the shit out of him. And the other guy is like, he has a problem with it. And then Woody Harrelson, Mickey's like, "Nah, you're not going to interfere," and just cuts him to pieces with a knife. And then they just pretty much kill everyone there, except for one guy who is just like standing there watching the whole time, some big fat guy, and they're like, "Tell him we did it," and then they take off.
Well, and it gives you the whole thing of like what they do is they show up to an area, they kill everybody in it, and leave one person behind to tell the story. You know, each time. You know, because even there's that
very very extreme Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, and that's definitely what it feels like. It feels like if you took Bonnie and Clyde, you made it 90s-ified, and then you just cranked it up to 11. You know, because even like the very end when they're choosing, like they literally have the thing where it's like, you know, Juliette Lewis is going to do the any, mini, miny, mo thing and whatnot. Yeah. And there's like the waitress who's like hiding behind like the coffee pot, like that's all you got to protect yourself. Well, that's what you do. You know,
she didn't just run in the back. You know, like
you know,
literally right next to the door to the kitchen. She just grabs a coffee pot and puts it in front of her face.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if she would have turned and ran, she would have just been shot in the back. I don't, you know,
probably.
You know, they weren't going anywhere, but it was, you know, this scene just starts off to show you what kind of carnage this is and like what's going to be going down, and who you're getting involved with here.
Oh yeah, no, it's fantastic. And then and then basically from there, it's more the same thing, but it's not just the same thing. It's very creative. It's very visual, very vivid, in all sorts of shades of red, and very psychedelic, and it also goes back into what we already talked about, the origin of how they met. Mickey's a butcher, who you find out later in the film, he also had kind of a shitty home life.
His father was a drunk,
father, beating his wife.
Committed suicide out in a field.
Yeah, and so that was kind of crazy. That's kind of wild. But then, so he's a butcher, and he shows up to Mallory's house with a 50-pound bag of meat, just beef.
Yeah,
and that's after Juliette Lewis tried to go to a concert, and her dad, Rodney Dangerfield's like, "No way, go back upstairs so I can screw you." And
it'd be creepy with you.
Yeah, so they meet each other by chance, by fate, is what they talk about several times in the film. It's all just fate.
Well, the funny thing is, once again, I'm just going to compare this really quickly to True Romance. Is like both of these Tarantino scripts have this thing where these characters meet like and instantaneously just fall in love, And I don't know if this is when a 25-year-old boy like writes about love in a sense, because that's about how old Tarantino was writing these two scripts.
I honestly feel like that's a recurring theme with Tarantino movies. Like Pulp Fiction, perfect example of that. I mean, like, when I first watched that film, I was like 11, and I was kind of confused at first, but then I realized, it's all shot out of order. That's fine. But I found it very interesting. Like, you get attached to certain characters, and then in the next story they tell, one of those characters, after going through all this crap, has been blown away. Vincent Vega, he's a hitman. It's not like he's a good guy, but he's very entertaining and a very charming character. He's a kind of a doofus who he's professional, but he kind of screws up a little bit here and there. And he seems like a likable guy. He accidentally almost killed Uma Thurman, but then he got her better. And then, of course, a story or two later, Bruce Willis blows him away. And you're thinking, what the heck,
that
man?
toaster goes off and it gets him.
And that's just fate, and it's very interesting, like you have all these different lifestyles, and none of those people are really good people either. And there they are, all experiencing, what happens in the end. And like I said, I think it's a recurring theme, even if it's subtle, within Tarantino's work. And how it's brought upon in this movie is very colorful, that's for sure. And they have their issues. There's a what's his name, Mickey going to jail, and then in this like,
well, he goes to jail first and foremost because he just says, like, when he goes to Rodney Dangerfield's house and whatnot, like, hey, you want to come with me, like, and they just literally steal Rodney's car and drive out. Somehow, some way, he gets arrested and caught for Grand Theft Auto and whatnot, and so he has to go to jail, first time.
But how he gets out of jail, what more than fate could be that reason? I mean, the dude rides into a tornado on horseback after he takes out like the 3 prison guards or something, and like holy cow, what a story there. And makes it back home, and then that's where him and Mallory just kill her parents. Beats the crap out of Rodney Dangerfield, which surprisingly enough, I thought it was going to be one hit and he was down, Rodney Dangerfield, but he took a hit to the face with like a tire iron and was like,
what, bitch?
Yeah, I'll take your eye out and show it to you. And that was interesting. I kind of felt bad for the fish in that tank, because after they beat the crap out of him, they shoved his face in the fish tank and drowned him. Then they burned the mother. And fair enough, they burned her mother, and she tells her, you never did nothing. Like, you never helped me out. Like, he's always beating me and raping me and calling me names and calling me stupid bitch. And like, you never did anything. So, yeah, I mean, once again, will I say that's just punishment? Well, I would say she got what was coming to her. And then I love how the kid, I was like, I couldn't remember what they did to her little son brother. Because I didn't realize it, but from what they made it sounded like Juliette Lewis was his mom.
I didn't think about that.
So yeah, when he said it was when Juliette Lewis runs upstairs, Mallory runs upstairs, and the wife comes over and she tells him like, oh, you need to like don't say those things around Kevin, you know, and whatever. Oh no, she said something about I haven't cried in years and you still won't sleep with me. And he's like, how do you explain Kevin? And she's like, she said, you were upstairs with Mallory, or like I was passed out and you were upstairs with Mallory or some shit. But so it was kind of like, yeah, Kevin's actually Mallory's son.
Yeah, oh god, I didn't put two and two together, but yeah, I guess that could be the case. It's so bizarre and weird that
he says, Kevin's like, Mallory's my mom, you know.
Oh, that's
like,
so yeah, I guess it could be that, yeah, for sure, you know, because who knows, Juliette Lewis, who knows what her age is supposed to be in this thing here?
Yeah, I assume
because that boy's like 12 years old too.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's more jokingly or I don't know, because that's the thing about this scene is everything's so bizarre and weird.
Yeah,
it could go both ways. Because I like to assume that in this scene she's like 17 or something, give or take. You know, she's still living at home. I felt if she was 18, she would have been long gone.
She's supposed to be 20 to 21 years old.
But yeah, that's, I guess, well, that'd be like, I guess, in the later sections of the movie. See, at this scene right here, she's got to be 17 when they first meet. So that might be a stretch for Kevin to be born from that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Oh, yeah. Oh. Kevin. It is confirmed.
Interesting.
Well, maybe not. It's always so hard to tell with Google nowadays because of the stupid AI overviews.
Yeah, well, and sometimes it wants to give you the answer. That's the one thing about that too. Is like it wants to like make you feel like, you know, you felt like you were right for asking that. You know, whatever. He's there somehow, some way. He was born of something. He's probably adopted for all we know.
Yeah, no shit.
You know, one of those weird things.
Love how he's got the kiss paint on too. That was hilarious and it I gotta say, I probably have a cable story for like every movie that we watch, but the household made me think of a lot of freaking houses that I've gone in the Midwest running cable. There's
a lot of houses like this in California that are like
in California too. Yeah, in Calaveras and Tuolumne County, and probably Amador County and San Juan.
Probably if you go to San Francisco, you find houses like this.
Oh yeah.
They want to sometimes think they're different, but they're not.
But yeah, dude, it's just so you go in there and you're just there to work as fast as you can so you can leave, and you got weirdos like this entire family that, you know, like they're sitting there telling you their life story and all this, and it's got to be so
like cat pee the whole time.
Oh, it's human pee, grandma pee,
yeah.
And but yeah, so they kill the parents and leave Kevin. You're free, Kevin. And then he
looks like he's just happy. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. And then maybe he was getting raped too. Who knows?
Yeah, he probably was. Let's be honest. In that family household, you know, nobody is innocent except for the mom. The mom's kind of left alone.
Yeah.
Gave up on that one a while ago.
To her chagrin. But yeah, then they're pretty much just on the run and having fun, and they have this kind of like faux marriage.
Out on a bridge, because you know what? When you have this much freedom, union. You can make your own rules. You know, your rules don't need to be dictated by the state.
Yeah. Got these cool wedding rings, look like snakes.
Yeah, and, wrapping around.
Which it was kind of hilarious at first. I mean, it's kind of hilarious in general. Woody Harrelson just loses his mind when they get into a hotel room, and she takes it off because she don't want to get it tangled while they're screwing. He's like, whoa, what? You put that back on.
snake on. You put that on now. That's a symbol, goddammit. And I like how they're having this argument, and they go through all this stuff, and then they start making love, and then there's literally a hostage lady in the corner.
Yeah, that's when they show you like, oh, there's a hostage in here.
Yeah.
Of whom you don't know if he killed or not.
No, or raped, you know. Because that's the thing about this movie. This movie goes intensely on that. Like, you know, because afterwards, because, you know, Juliette Lewis at that part, she gets pissed at him because he looks over at her and stuff, just like, and she gets angry, she gets up and she's like, what, you want to fuck her now? You want to fuck that hostage we got over there? He's like, well, I was thinking of a threesome. You know,
so nonchalantly, she's like, I mean, yeah,
I thought that's why we picked her up at the 7-Eleven or wherever.
No, I mean, unless it's like a ambiguous thing or like a left up to the viewer thing, like they showed like 2 scenes of him and her doing it.
Yeah, maybe I think that is or whatever, and then he kills her. It reminds me, actually, similar to Tarantino, reminds me of the From Dusk Till Dawn scene where like they leave Tarantino, alone with the hotel
with the lady they kidnapped.
Yeah, the hotel maid and whatnot. They have that cool shot where like it just shows like snippets as it goes through of like more and more violence,
like, brutalized, murdered.
Which I also love. Something about From Dusk Till Dawn I love. I love how Tarantino wrote himself in there as he's George Clooney's brother.
I know, right? In what universe are they in the same family?
Yeah, I couldn't have picked the most best-looking guy to be your brother.
No, right? That's pretty hilarious. I think my wife said the same thing. She's like, what? Yeah,
yeah. That only happens when you wrote the script.
Who's the mother? Who's the father? You know, yeah. No, that was pretty damn hilarious. And of course, he writes himself to have Salma Hayek shove her foot in his mouth.
Yeah. Well, and this one has the foot stuff in it too. Like there still is like there's scenes of like you see there I'm getting confused, but I know it's like on like the script I know I also had it too, where like they talked explicitly about Juliette Lewis having bare feet up on the dashboard and so on like that. Sounds like Death Proof.
Also sounds like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh yeah, this one it has all the Tarantino
dirty hippies
tropes.
putting their feet on the window.
Yeah, exactly.
On the windshield. Oh, that was making me mad.
That grosses me out when girls do that. Like, it grosses me out if guys did that too. I just don't see guys do it. So I'm going to put the blame on girls for that one there. But it's always such like a nasty, dirty habit.
It is, man. It's disgusting. Get your feet off of there.
And then that's why I did love it in fucking Death Proof, because they had the scene where the girl has her legs like that.
Gets her leg cut off.
Yeah, it gets her leg cut off. I'm like, that's what's gonna happen if you do that. You got it. You know what I mean? You get in a major accident, there it goes. You know what I mean?
Kurt Russell's gonna come and destroy your life and your leg. Yeah. But yeah, so they continue their killing spree and the what's his name, Gail Wayne, Rob Downey Jr. He's kind of tracking them. Documenting them.
Yeah, doing like the America's Most Wanted type of show where they just went out and he tracks the serial killer, which the thing about it, in that early 90s period, that was like the real popular stuff. And I know that's why Oliver Stone doubled down on this part of the story, is because that stuff was everywhere. You had the OJ trial, you had all the serial killer stuff, you had just things left and right. And the media really maximized making profits off like death and murder, like hardcore at this point.
And then you also have a detective guy,
Stagnetti,
Stagnietti or whatever the hell his name was.
Which this guy I think is supposed to be like, if in the Tarantino universe thing, I want to say in Reservoir Dogs, the parole officer from Mr. Blonde was Stagnetti.
Oh,
I think it mentions that there. So see, there is the weird connections of all these Tarantino movies, especially all the early day ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just like how I think it's Michael Madsen in that film was related to Vincent Vega.
Yeah, I think they're brothers or something like that.
Yeah,
because they got
Vincent Vega,
the same last name.
Much more likable character.
Yeah, there was supposed to be that like post Pulp Fiction. There was supposed to be like that prequel movie or whatever that was going to be the two Vegas, and never, one of those ideas that probably that's far as it got.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so they're on the run from these guys. Kill some more people and this and that. And finally, it was like they were I want to say they were kind of down on their luck in a way. They'd run out of gas in their car. I guess they had no money.
Yeah, yeah. I
And,
guess they weren't robbing money or something, you know.
There was a police officer that was tailing them for whatever reason. He just decided to stop, and so they lucked out. And they came across this Native American's ranch, and goes in this guy's hut. And this guy has for some reason an affinity for rattlesnakes.
Yeah,
and
doesn't speak English.
No, and he's just talking to him in his native language, and that almost seems racist to say, even though it's the right thing to say. Like, my native language is English. When I say his native English language, I almost sound like I'm, you know, you know what I'm saying.
Well, strangely, this is like the one major part that I think that's not in the script of Tarantino's is the Native American stuff. That's the one thing I did.
Yeah,
that was like the one main thing I
too.
noticed is this part wasn't in there whatsoever. You know?
And it's pretty interesting. So the guy feeds them, talks to them. They're having a good time.
We got to say this first. They're all hopped up on mushrooms first and foremost, stumbling into here. So they're on a vision quest in a sense.
Yep. Yes, they are. And this guy's trying to help them out and stuff. Well, I mean, in the middle of all the talking and everything, Woody Harrelson has a psychotic freak and shoots the native guy dead.
Yeah, well, he's having this like tragic childhood nightmares of his father beating him, and I think this might be the part where it shows the father committing suicide out in the field.
They show that later.
Okay,
they
that's
show that
right.
when he's being interviewed.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah, so he's having that psychotic break, and then he basically goes to him going, "Oh God, I killed him," and Mallory's freaking out, and it's really an interesting turn that the movie takes, because up until now, like, there's no remorse. There's no freaking out over killing anyone. They're just like, yeah, it's just something we do. That's like chewing gum. You know?
It's like when they shoot that police officer coming out of the donut store. I still love the police officer just coming out of the donut store.
I love how when they're interviewing that guy, he starts crying when he talks about how he had his bear claw, you know.
Yeah, he watched it fall on the ground and everything.
And but yeah, so they yeah, it's pretty hilarious. I don't know how they lost him after that, but whatever. But then yeah, so Mallory's freaking out. Why'd you kill him? Why'd you kill him? Bad. And as soon as she said that bad, that's what made me think of California. And it's just hilarious. And I realized that it wasn't exactly reminding me of Juliette Lewis as much as it was reminding me of Brad Pitt, of him going, no. Like reprimanding a dog, you know. And then it made me think of her, you know, saying, early. You killed them early.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do California one of these days, because that's a movie I've been really wanting to podcast.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
It's such a great, like, forgotten gem, like, Brad Pitt film, and Juliette Lewis.
But then yeah, so they're still tripping balls, and they walk out of the hut, and they're trying to make their way back to the truck, and they get bit by rattlesnakes. And
there's a copious amount of rattlesnakes out in this field,
all over the place.
Like it's a sign because they killed the poor Native American guy. Because really, the Native American guy might be the only person in the movie that was not a bad person.
Yeah,
we don't see any backstory on him, so we really don't know, to tell you the truth. He could have done some heinous things beforehand. But unlike everybody else who has these super tragic past and, you know, are all messed up.
He tells him, too, he's like, I don't know if they understood. Well, no, he had to have said it somehow, either in English or Mickey understood somehow, because he references it later. But he tells him, I saw the demon or the devil or whatever, you know, years ago, either in my sleep or in my dream or whatever, and I've been waiting for you. And there it was.
Yeah, that's right.
And then so yeah, they book it out of there. They're bitten by rattlesnakes, and Mickey heads over to a pharmacy to get medication. And
I gotta say this real quick. When I was watching those deleted scenes, there's a weird scene that comes in between the pharmacy and the rattlesnakes being bit. For some reason, they stop at drive-in movie theater, and they're just sitting there watching a movie, and like Juliette Lewis is like, shouldn't we like take care of this? And it just seems like one of those ones. Like I think Oliver Stone said later on, he's like, yeah, we pulled that scene because it was like, why the hell would they do that?
Yeah, I know they're crazy and everything, but
but yeah, they're not that dumb.
But yeah, so once again, more people are getting killed. Cops finally show up and
they go to this like pharmacy that's like the world's biggest pharmacy you've ever seen.
I know, right?
And it's all like neon lit
CVS
green.
Was completely a pharmacy.
It's like if CVS was the size of like a Target.
Yeah, and there's
one dude working in there. They're trying to look for could you go into like a regular drugstore and go find snake like antibiotic?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I thought so
Usually
too.
you have
Like
to go to the hospital.
Yeah, or you got to go to like a sportsman like type like store where they're like, oh, I got one of these snake bite kits for you here.
Gotta have Mick Dundee jump out
and
pee on it.
Exactly.
But
have a dog suck it out. Put some peanut butter on it.
God. But yeah, the police finally get him, and it's a Stagnati.
Stagnetti, is that what his name is?
Detective's name is, and that's right after the detective freaking killed a hooker.
Because that's the scene that shows that he's a real messed up degenerate. You know what I mean? Because he literally has this little hooker who's like, they call me Pink, or she's like, my daddy called me Pinky or something because of how small I was.
Yep.
Said you're the size of my pinky, and he's like, oh, okay, well, come on over here. I got this man thong on, and you ever been strangled before? Like, that makes everybody feel comfortable.
I know, right?
He's like, I'm just joking.
And then he does it.
And then he strangles her, It's like 2 steps away from like, shh, 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 strangling her down the ground.
So this is kind of weird. But I thought the actress was somebody who she's not. And it was kind of blowing my mind. I'm like, how is this not her? My wife's been watching this show for like the 3rd time called Gilmore Girls. And I watch it now and then with her. And there's an actress in there named Alexis Ledell, whatever the hell her name was. She's in Sin City. She's the girl that Josh Hartnett kills at the end.
Okay.
And she's a hooker, but she, I shit you not, this hooker that Stagniotti kills in this film sounded just like her. And it threw me off. I kind of was like, wait a minute, is that Rory? And her face, she looks just like her in the face. But I'm like, this can't be. Like, she's got to be like 6 years old when this film came out. And sure enough, she was way too young to be in this. And it's not her anyway. It's some like kind of unknown actress. She hasn't had very many roles. She's not even credited in the film. But that was kind of weird. But that's all there is about that.
Yeah. I was trying to see
Karina Slousies or something, I don't know. But yeah, and basically from this point on, the film takes quite a turn. It almost becomes another movie in itself. I felt like.
Because this is literally like the halfway point of. I want to say this is about a 1 hour mark.
Yeah, it was pretty much the hour mark.
Yeah, it literally shifts from being like, okay, we're having this serial killer on the road, Bonnie and Clyde, boom, to being like, okay, now they're in prison, and now it's a prison movie.
And from there, it's basically, I think, what anyone would expect if they'd been watching the film up till now. It hasn't happened yet, but you know what's going to happen. They're going to break out. I mean, I refused to believe that they were going to get executed, and I was right. Yeah. And the detective is, and this is a year later, by the way, after they were captured. They're going through their therapy. They're, living prison life. It's one of those things about, why are we not executing these people?
Because they're studying them. I think that's the thing. Because these, at the moment, these guys are almost like, the biggest like serial killer case of all time, in a sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, so you got all the heavy hitters in this film are in this part 2, if you want to call it that, until the end. So obviously the 2 main characters, per Oliver Stone, because they're in prison. And then you've got Gail Wayne, the reporter. He's there to do some of his journalism work, photojournalism work. And then you've got the detective. He's there to see what's going on with the prison, how it's running. And I think they're offering him a job.
Well, at this point, he's kind of the celebrity because he wrote a book after capturing Mickey and Mallory. So he's got a book. Everybody's all like excited. They want to get autographs and shit, you know. Then we got Tommy Lee Jones's character finally gets introduced by this point too as the warden, you know, and his character's so good. He's got the goofy like little Mel Brooks mustache thing, which is you know, and little sideburns and whatnot.
It's hilarious, and yeah, so they're getting ready for this big interview with not Tommy Lee Jones, Mickey and Mallory. I think it's just Mickey.
It's just Mickey for this part.
Something we didn't really talk about that was a real big part of the film up until now, and it kind of continues throughout the film, through the rest of the film, is Mickey and Mallory are seen as these like gods by the general public.
Yeah, a lot of like the youth really likes them.
They love him, and they're you know, there's a kid who's like, I'm not saying it's cool to kill people, but you know, if I was gonna be killing people, I'd be Mickey and Mallory, you know, and they have this fame, like they're in magazines, they're in tabloids, they're all over TV, and it's nuts. And so
I gotta say this: if this was in like the Injustice movie we watched yesterday, these are the kids that would be at that Joker party that Superman went and killed. That's 100% what those kids are. They're the same as those Joker kids. Because Mickey and Mallory, man, like they're the coolest ones. Because that is kind of true. People like idolize, you know, sometimes weird serial killer, sociopath type things.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, that's the whole theme of the Oliver Stone thing, is that the media then exploits it by putting it everywhere, so that it doesn't matter which magazine you pick up or which news station you turn to, there's going to be something on it.
Yep. Yeah. And, so they're getting ready for this big interview with Mickey, and he dons, well, he doesn't really don, he shaves his head.
So you know he's serious.
He shaves his head. He's looking like he does on the cover of the film. This is where...
I gotta say this. Did you ever play the game Comic Zone back in the day on Sega Genesis?
No.
I know it's kind of a long shot. The haircut that dude sort of has is a little bit different, but it reminds me of the way that, especially that Mickey has in the very beginning when he's got the blonde ponytail back and the circular glasses. Like, that's what that character's like. He has that hair. It's a very 90s, I guess, hairstyle, but...
you know, that's one thing about this movie, too, is the, what do you call it? The costume design is pretty awesome, because they go back and forth so much, and they must be stealing all this, but it's hilarious because they go from total hillbilly, weird, white trash, junky looking weirdos, and then they're dressed really nice, like in a strange way. Yeah. And then, it's just bizarre. Like, what's his name? Mickey almost looks like a hitman, you know, in the beginning. It's pretty awesome. But then, so the everything's about to hit the fan, and it starts with a prison riot while this interview is going on, and it gets really bad. And I have to say, I think this is probably the nastiest prison riot I've ever seen in a film. Like,
it's in a real working prison too. Like those guys are real inmates.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's pretty.
That's kind of ballsy, isn't it?
No shit. I mean, they were probably just like, "Oh, we get to be in a movie, cool."
Well, got nothing else to do.
But like that is some of the most brutal scenes I've seen in and I've seen a lot of prison scenes. I mean, like Sons of Anarchy wasn't a very, like, those are some pretty brutal scenes in prison in that show, but this really takes the cake. Like, it's almost like any way that you could kill someone in prison in this movie, they did it. Like, there was a beheading.
There's a few beheadings. There's not just one. There's a couple of them going on.
And so there's this riot that happens, and then what's his name? Mickey kind of outsmarts the officers around him, blasts them all except for.
I was gonna say that this is also the main thing, is that Robert Downey Jr.'s character is so ballsy that he wants to do this live. So this is going on live. It's not like it's pre-recorded. So the whole time his cameras are running, so everybody's being able to watch this at home.
Yes, yes. Everybody's seeing all this carnage and death and atrocity, and I love how the first time that before the riot happens, the first time that Mickey flips, like kind of flinches over at Robert Downey Jr. Tommy Lee Jones jumps up and with his tweezer, with his his tweezer things, and he's like, "No, it's all right, it's all right." Oh, okay.
He still wants to use them.
And but yeah, so this riot happens, and in the midst of everything, Robert Downey Jr. Gale, has a change of heart, and he kind of has an epiphany that Mickey calls him out on his hypocrisy as well as everyone else, and as initially Mickey holds him hostage with his other two camera guys. Or one of them.
Yeah, a handful of crew members, but they start getting picked off.
Yeah, and then another character, his name is Owen. And I wondered about him, thinking if he was in Mickey and Mallory's head.
Yeah, because he pops up throughout the movie. Because he's there at the diner at the beginning, and he sort of just fades away. But the movie's so weird and bizarre that you don't think anything of it. You know, if the movie was more normal and this guy just fades out, literally cross dissolves out of there, you would think oh, that's strange. But since this movie had so many bizarre things already going on for it, it didn't seem you didn't make anything of it. Yeah,
and but they're kind of making their way, navigating this prison. Meanwhile, Mallory's getting accosted by the detective. He goes in there. I don't know what his goal was. I guess to screw her and then maybe strangle her or something.
Yeah, I think he felt that since she was a prisoner, she had no rights and no one was going to tell him what to do. And since he wrote a book, he was above everybody else.
Yeah. So he goes in there. He starts messing around with her and accosts her. He thinks that
cigarette and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she turns the tables on him and thinks that makes him think that they're going to, do it. And then she starts beating him up.
Sex.
Yeah.
I've been in prison this whole time.
That should beat the crap out of him. Humiliates him.
Literally breaks his nose in real life.
I didn't know that. That's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. See, when she slams him up, he accidentally does break his nose. So it makes you wonder if that reaction is like, that fucking bitch broke my nose.
Jeez.
Probably a little bit of reality of that right there.
Shit. And then the guards come in and they're kind of restraining her, but then Mickey shows up with Robert Downey Jr. And
even Scagnani, I gotta say this though, Scagnani grabs that fucking mace from the guards and just blasts her in the fucking face, point blank range, just like.
I hope that wasn't real mace.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Oh man, that was nasty. And so they get in there and they have that final showdown with him, and
they got a standoff going.
Yep, and he tells Mickey to drop his shotgun. He doesn't want to, but then he says, "Okay, you got it." Well, that's because Mallory's right behind him and totally murders him, and that's the end of him.
She sneaks up on him and just kills him right then and there.
Stabs him right in the throat.
Yeah,
and then they make their break, and Robert Downey Jr. or Gale at this point, he kind of that epiphany 100% sets in, and he decides, "I'm with these guys."
And he gets really into it.
Yeah, he starts killing prison guards, and Mickey's just like, huh.
Yeah, well, who is this guy?
All right. And they make their way through. They piss off the warden, Tommy Lee Jones. Not a whole lot he can do about it. And Owen's helping them out, and they just kind of get out.
Yeah, Owen, their mysterious guardian angel guy that just shows up here.
Owen.
Yeah.
And but that's what I was saying. I'm like, who is
is he real? Is he not? That's what I kind of wonder, you know what I mean? Because he just sort of shows up, like he's like a figment or something like that.
And then but yeah, they get out of there, and right before they get out, they're kind of in a spot where there's not a lot of action happening at the moment, and Robert Gale, the reporter, calls his wife. Says, "I'm not coming home,"
Well, she says something like "Who's Ming?" or whatever, whatever.
Well, he says, "I'm not coming home. I'm finally alive for once in my life." And he's like, "Take the money. I don't care. It's yours anyway, and I don't love you anymore anyway. I'm in love with Ming. I'm with Ming." And then he calls Ming, and she breaks up with him, and Oh, it's hilarious.
It's just all
he's
going
kinda
downhill.
like, guess I got nothing to live for anymore. And they take off, and they, of course, they blow their way through more guards and everything, and they make their way out. And
There's a lot of good carnage at this point here.
Oh,
Like, that's
yeah,
the
man.
like
It just
this movie
doesn't
does
end.
deliver on the violence. Like it's one of those
yeah.
ones like. With a title like Natural Born Killers, you want to hope that it actually does have good violence. It does have good violence.
Oh, no kidding. And but yeah, so total failure by the prison to keep them in there. I'm sure lots of people feel betrayed by Gale, but then a lot of people probably think that he is a hero now too. They loved Mickey and Mallory, and so they probably thought like, wow, like thank God, what's his name was there helping him out.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. You know who probably is really like against all him was all his whole crew that got killed.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we
And-
didn't want to do this. Why would we want to do this live show in the most dangerous prison we could be at?
Yeah. And then this is the point where you actually have two endings. I didn't know about the alternate ending until today, which I thought was a pretty cool ending.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't think it's anything better, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's almost the same. It's almost
Yeah.
the same. So what's his name?
Gale, Robert Downey
Gale,
Jr.'s character.
he's there and really sad because they're like, thanks for videotaping all this. Now we're gonna kill you.
Yeah,
he's
well,
like,
he's
wait
at
a
first
minute.
he's hamming it up like almost like the exit of like the whole wrap up of this episode on the camera. Mallory's videoing him and so on like that. He thinks it's all cool and dandy. Like we're gonna go off. Like this is gonna be my new life. Is I'm gonna be a serial killer with these guys. And then when he kind of says that, like Mickey's like, no, you're the biggest piece of shit of all of them. You know what I mean? You literally are the number one bad guy because you take this stuff, make money off of it, and exploit it to the far reaches of the world.
Not only that, he's cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
And all that kind of nastiness. But yeah, so he was a total turd too. And so they kill him. And
Well, what I like about it though is because he does the thing where like they set him up before they even kill him. So he's like, "You can't kill me. I mean, we went through all this together, something like this. Like, come on, like." And if anything, Mickey and Mallory always have to leave one person behind to tell the story. And I just love how Mickey points. He's like, "Yeah, we did. It's the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what will tell the story." And then they just unload on him with the shotguns.
Oh yeah,
Lights out of him
with way more shells than those things hold.
Yeah, exactly. They go off like automatic shotguns,
It's hilarious.
But and I will say this: there's actually I read the Tarantino ending, and in his script. So once again, it's actually pretty darn similar the way they all kind of go through and everything out there. And then when they blast him, they pretty much just have like it's almost like maybe if the camera was on the ground and that's how you saw everything.
Yeah.
They kind of kiss. His dead body just lays there. They walk on off, and then it just holds on his body for a bit. And the tape dies, cuts the credits, and that's it for the Tarantino one. Which I will say I kind of like that one more, but
I do too.
yeah, because I will say the Oliver Stone's normal ending goes into like it cuts literally years ahead, and they got this family going on. Which earlier on there was a point where they had a revelation where Mallory's like, I think it's time for me to have a family
Yes.
and all kind of stuff. So that's what me and Mickey are gonna do.
Well, see, I didn't even think that ending was like supposed to be what happened. I figured it was just kind of like an imagining of them doing that later, but I didn't really, because it's
Maybe
also
that's
got
what-
that psychedelic stuff going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, is that just like a what if thing, or is that what happens? And so I didn't take it very seriously. I definitely would have liked that Tarantino ending a little better.
Yeah, I think the hard cut ending kind of it gives it that 70s vibe, but it also kind of says like it leaves it also like a horror movie in a sense too, where it's like they're out there, but we don't know really what happens to them next. I like that,
The alternate ending I thought was pretty cool because it gives more of the screen time to the Owen guy, who is apparently their guardian angel / demon.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's kind of a devil's advocate a little bit, and he tells them, yeah, I want to go with you guys. And Mickey kind of laughs about it. He's like, they both kind of laugh about it, like, oh, Owen come with us? Oh yeah, right. And he's like, you don't need to be rude about it. And he's like, well, I'd like to have sex with Mallory, you know, and it's kind
I
of
like how he says it so like nonchalantly. Like,
It's
I always
hilarious.
want to know I always want to know what that tasted like.
And so Mickey's like, yeah, I don't like this. And then she kind of teases him a bit, and he doesn't like it. And then she gets irritated at him because he says, like, Mickey tells her to stop, and she stops, and he goes, you always do what he says. And she's like, fuck this guy, pull over and kick him out. And right after he pulls over, Moe and just points the shotgun at Mickey and blows his brains out. And then Mallory says, wait. And then he blows her brains out. Well, off screen.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting ending because after that, the credits, right after that, it goes into the original ending.
Yeah. So it makes it feel like it is like, you know, in their minds. It was like their last kind of memory.
That's kind of what but that said, yeah, no, I mean, they definitely went out with a bang.
Yeah, exactly. Whichever way it is, and you know, whatever mysterious way that kind of continues on. And it's that one that like you almost could have a sequel to this in a weird way if you really want to. I mean, not probably now. It'd be weird.
I think it'd be. I think the way that it would work, I think it'd have to be a continuation of, say, one of their acolytes, if you will, that maybe was guided by the ghosts of Mickey and Mallory. That would make sense to me in a movie that has all kinds of things that don't make sense. But but yeah, that would be kind of interesting. But who knows?
Yeah, no. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things there, but it does leave it kind of off a bit. But yeah, no. Like the endings, no matter what, they still work. As I said, I think that Tarantino one, when it just has that hard cut, like it's done. I love that. That's like one of my favorite types of endings. Like, the movie's over, go to credits. Don't need to have
draw
a
it
third.
out.
No third and fourth
overseason
ending. Yeah. You know, no Lord of the Rings it with like the 6 extra endings. You gotta see what everybody did. You know, but no. Once again, watching this movie, as I said, it's been like, it feels like it's almost been like 15 years since I last saw it. I feel like I saw it in between, somewhere between them, but at least it's been 10 years plus.
I think it's been, I said 2021 earlier, but that wasn't accurate. It was before that for sure, but I just can't remember.
Yeah. Well, and the weird thing is, in rewatching it, like when I first watched it, because I guess I was trying to go through my mind of like, you know, what are the things that Tarantino dislikes about it and so on, and kind of thing, like what are the different things there. And you know, I enjoyed my experience watching it, but it's always one of those movies, the more I think about it, the more I like it, you know, almost in a sense. Like just watching it, it's good, it's enjoyable, it's weird, and it's all, you know, especially for back in the day when I initially discovered it, like in that filmmaker like age where like, you know, you see this and it's got all the weird shots and the strange edits and the mixed match of like 8mm, 16mm, 35mm video cameras, all these different formats coming together. You know, it's really cool, just like it's an editing piece, you know, just how many cuts are in this movie and so on like that. Like I appreciate it all for that, you know. But even as time goes on, it still holds up well. I think the concept, the story, the fact that like even like there's all we mentioned, there's some of these things too in there where like they'll cut like other like random like footage in this movie too, like, you know, whether it be things of like just kind of stock footage or even TV stuff. Like there'll be parts where, you know, characters are scrolling through the TV and you'll see like different
Coca-Cola
movies.
Commercials, kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing too is like Coca-Cola apparently signed off on like, yeah, sure, you can have Coca-Cola as a paid advertisement here. They didn't know what kind of movie this was going to be, and the fact that like Oliver Stone uses it, because like there's one part where the Coca-Cola bears come, but it's literally the scene that comes beforehand is the interview that Robert Downey Jr. has with Mickey, where they're in prison, they're live, he's going through his life, explaining pretty much how he became a natural-born killer. Yeah. I want to say this is the part, too, where he talks about his dad and how he was abusive. In the cornfield, he shot himself, and they blamed him for it, though his dad committed suicide. All these, like, dark things are coming down and so on like that. And then it cuts to the Coca-Cola bears, because that's almost like what TV would do anyways, is it would tell you some horrific shit, and then it would cut to something soft.
Have a soda.
Yeah. Which I always think is funny. Like me and Ryan on the podcast have always joked before that's like, you know, a polar bear is like literally one of the most dangerous animals on the planet, and they always show like these like cuddly, cute polar bears drinking Coke, and he's always talking about like there should be a commercial where there's like a guy like in a Coca-Cola truck driving up there, and then there's just a bunch of bears that come running like out of the fucking snow tundra, just starts murdering him, and then just taking the Coca-Cola.
That is hilarious.
It's funny how they always take like the animals that like and they cutify like the most dangerous, brutal things.
That's
But
true.
yeah, I love all that kind of stuff that's in there too, and almost the satire. The weird thing is the way this movie is I know that like especially back in the day, this movie had like extreme controversy, for all the violence that it kind of had in it.
only
And how,
imagine.
like, yeah, especially for the fact that it is pretty darn brutal. I mean, granted, we watched the director's cut, which does have a lot more violence and gore and stuff like that in there. The beheading, the Robert Downey Jr. getting his hand blown out and all that kind of stuff. There is a lot more there. But even in the normal version, just for what it is, this is like that time period, like in the early 90s, where like you sometimes didn't get movies this violent. Yeah, because it was kind of like that weird, like mid to 80s kind of onwards, movies kind of started to soften up a little bit more, not all of them, but like, they weren't nearly as extreme as they were like in the 70s and so on. So it's like when these kind of movies came out again, it almost shocked people once again with what they were. And especially for the fact that Woody Harrelson, he was on Cheers, was pretty much what everybody knew him as. So he's a sitcom guy who all of a sudden is now the serial killer, and going through that. But, I still think it's one of those things that, like, all that stuff, it's weird because, once again, you can talk to people that go, this movie's hilarious, and the violence in it is actually, like, almost kind of silly and Looney Tunes-like in a strange way.
It kind of is. I would agree with that.
Yeah, because that's how I kind of feel. Like, I feel that's also one of the things about
It's outrageous.
Tarantino is the fact that it is kind of, it's just so crazy and over the top, and just, that's, like, maybe too extreme, which... Once again, I don't feel it's that much different than Kill Bill when you think about it, but
No.
It's kind of in that same ballpark. But there's a lot of people though that I think they look at this movie and they look at it like it's super serious and like extremely dark, And I mean, I guess it is, but it's dark, but like in a comedic
Well,
way.
if you're a pussy.
Yeah, if you know, only if you're a fucking pussy.
But yeah, that was a great time, I think.
Yeah, but going through Natural Born Killers, one of those movies. I think it's I know Tarantino likes to try to cut himself away from it, saying that like it's not like his other stuff, which I think is like if nobody told you that this was an Oliver Stone movie and they just told you like, hey, it's a Tarantino movie, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense once you're done watching it.
Yes,
I don't think anybody would go like, no, that's not Tarantino. No, it's the same way of True Romance. If you just tell
it
somebody,
was Dave Filoni.
Yeah. So oddly, it's one of those ones when you tell somebody it's an Oliver Stone movie, it doesn't seem like the rest of the stuff he did. I mean, Oliver Stone has a wide branch of things. I mean, he wrote Conan the Barbarian and Scarface and all that kind of stuff, but then he did Platoon and all the war movies and the political movies like Nixon and W and all that kind of stuff. So, you have all that kind of stuff, and then he does Natural Born Killers, which... Yeah, he's got a wide filmography of different things.
It's like he didn't sleep for a week, and and then directs a movie. That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty much. Kind of. Well, the movie he came off beforehand was Heaven and Hell, which I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it has Tommy Lee Jones in it. So he has like this trilogy of Vietnam movies. So Platoon's The Americans in Vietnam with Charlie Sheen and Johnny Depp and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's Born on the 4th of July. Have you ever seen that one before?
No, I know the movie, but I haven't seen it all the way through.
Maybe we'll have to do the Vietnam trilogy because Born on the 4th of July has the best wheelchair fight I've ever seen in a movie. Literally, Willem Dafoe and Tom Cruise fight each other in wheelchairs. I was dying laughing in that scene. That's so good. So that's the Veterans Coming Home movie, and then Heaven and Hell is what it's like in Vietnam itself. And Tommy Lee Jones is this guy that marries a Vietnam lady over there, or a Vietnamese lady over there, and so on like that. Things go awry. For some reason, at the very end of the movie, he kills himself and he's naked in the truck. I don't know why he's naked, but that's just what it is. But still, all three of those movies are very interesting. So he came off of that, which apparently was, he had all these kind of big movies. It's like a dramatic kind of war movie and everything like that. So it leans heavier in the drama section there. But, so I felt like him doing Natural Born Killers was like, I just get to experiment, have fun, and really push the boundaries and just go to town on this and give it the MTV generation vibe.
Hell yeah.
But Oliver Stone has, there's so many great movies. Like Wall Street's another good one. Have you ever seen Wall Street with Charlie Sheen? That's a great fucking movie, So there's just so many of those ones there, but yeah, no, I think National Born Killers is such a unique film. There's nothing really out there like it at the end of the day.
No,
no,
there's not.
It really is its own thing. And once again, if you like Tarantino, there's no way you're not going to like this one.
Yep, totally agree.
If you like Oliver Stone, it might be a little bit extreme for you, but like it's still like it's one of his. I still think it's one of his top tier movies at the same time. And just everybody delivers here and so on like that. It's just one of those classics that holds up, and I can't say more good things about it. Sometimes it's almost a little too weird and a little bit too like cutty and changing back and forth between formats. I will say, like, sometimes it feels like it can pump the brakes a little bit on some of that. But like, okay, just use one camera angle and one film stock for a moment, and then like don't worry about cutting it back and forth so much. But at the same time, it's kind of that adds so much to it.
It does. I mean, because it's all chaos. So, I mean, I don't think if it was any different, it wouldn't be the film that it is, for sure.
Yeah. And I think each thing's supposed to have like different meanings. So like when it's normally shot, that's like kind of the story. But when it's in black and white, it's almost like people's kind of like thoughts when they show that. I know it's supposed to be when it shows like the green segments and so on like that. That's when the characters are sort of sick or poisoned or like mentally disturbed. So each tone has its own thing going on with it. But no. Natural Born Killers, check this bad boy out and so on like that. Beyond all that good stuff, you can check out all the other Old Man Orange podcasts, along with the Silent Evil podcast and Via VHS. Go check those out at YouTube and Spotify. Till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Dave Candido.
And we'll see you some other time.